Bernard Moitessier and the interconnectedness of souls. Bernard Moitessier, 10th of April 1925 to the 16th of June 1994, is one of the most famous round the world lone yachtsmen there has been. He was a French national, born and raised in Vietnam in the days when it was a French colony. He was raised by a Vietnamese nanny, and gained much of his early sailing knowledge from the fishermen of the Gulf of Siam. At 25, Moitessier left Vietnam to lead the life of a sea-gypsy, wandering in the China Sea, his first boat being called the Snark. In later boats he sailed the Indian Ocean, rounded the Cape of Good Hope, and entered the South Atlantic before being shipwrecked in the Caribbean. He survived 2 catastrophic shipwrecks. In 1968, Moitessier participated in the Sunday Times Golden Globe race, the first single-handed round-the-world yacht race. With the fastest circumnavigation time, Moitessier was the likely winner, but he elected to continue on to Tahiti and not return to the start line in England. Few understood at the time that it was because his values were grounded in a deep, almost mystic spirituality. The voyage had always been seen by Moitessier as something other than a sponsored, publicised, competitive event, and that the voyage could not end for him with the rewards of those whose values were not his. Moitessier subsequently spent 3 years on a remote atoll in the Tuamotu archipelago, called Tamata, or Try It, by his Tuamotu friends. He built a Polynesian-style house, planted coconut trees, and gradually transformed the sun-blasted coral into a speck of green in the middle of the South Pacific. He spent the last years of his life in France. He is buried in a small fishing village in Brittany. This is his simple grave, covered in tributes. Moitessier. I am a citizen of the most beautiful nation on earth, a nation whose laws are harsh yet simple, a nation that never cheats, which is immense and without borders, where life is lived in the present. In this limitless nation, this nation of wind, light, and peace, there is no other ruler besides the sea. The profound spirituality of Bernard Moitessier. In the early 1900s, during Moitessier's childhood, Vietnam was imbued with Buddhism and Confucianism, but especially Vietnamese folk religion. About 45% of the population in Vietnam still follow this belief system. Bernard Moitessier, Tamata, and the Alliance. Behind the huts I can see again the tombs of those who had left us, honoured by the scent of the slim joss sticks at the edge of the creepers and the green. That was where the other world began, the one that enchanted me. That world equally full of gods and dragons, where I can see the child with his slingshot slip into the whispering forest behind the village. Every sense alert to the slightest quiver, that might carry a message. He listens as the trees speak to him in the language of the birds high in the tall branches. Dropping out of the round-the-world race. Moitessier had sailed for more than a year, from Plymouth, England, to the Indian Ocean, when he abandoned the lead in the 1968 to 1969 round-the-world single-handed race. He sailed to Tahiti, dropped anchor, and dropped out. Until the publication of The Long Way, only Moitessier and a few friends knew why. Bernard Moitessier, The Long Way. I have set course for the Pacific. Last night was too hard to take. I really felt sick at the thought of getting back to Europe, back to the snake pit. I am really fed up with false gods, always lying in wait, spider-like, eating our liver, sucking our marrow. I charge the modern world that's the monster. It is destroying our earth and trampling the soul of men. Yet it is thanks to the modern world that you have a good boat with winches, turgle sails, and a solid metal hull that doesn't give you any worries. That's true. But it is because of the modern world, because of its so-called civilization and its so-called progress, that I take off with my beautiful boat. Well, you're free to split. No one is stopping you. Everyone is free here, so long as it doesn't interfere with others. Free for the moment. But before long, no one will be free if things go on. They have already become inhuman. So there are those who go to sea or hit the road to seek the lost truth, and those who can't or won't anymore, who have lost even hope. Western civilization is almost completely technocratic now. It isn't a civilization anymore. If we listened to people like you, more or less vagabonds and barefoot tramps, we would not have got beyond the bicycle. That's just it. We would ride bikes in the cities. There wouldn't be those thousands of cars with hard, closed people, all alone in them. We would see youngsters arm in arm, hear laughter and singing, see nice things in people's faces. Joy and love would be reborn everywhere. Birds would return to the few trees left in our streets, and we would replant the trees the monster killed. Then we would feel real shadows and real colours and real sounds. Our cities would get their souls back, and people too. And I know all that is no dream. Everything beautiful and good that men have done, they built with their dreams. But back there, the monster has taken over for men. It dreams in our place. It would have us believe that man is the centre of the universe, that all rights are his on the pretense that he invented the steam engine and lots of other machines, and that he will someday reach the stars if he just hurries a little before the next bomb. Whoa, nothing to worry about there. Our hurrying suits the monster just fine. He helps us hurry. Time is short. Hardly any time left. Run, run. Don't stop to think. Whatever you do, I, the monster, am doing the thinking. Run towards the destiny I have planned for you. Run without stopping to the end of the road where I have put the bomb for the complete degradation of humanity. We're almost there. Run with your eyes closed. It's easier. Shout all together. Justice, patriotism, progress, intelligence, dignity, civilization. What? You aren't running? You're sailing around on your boat? Just to think. And you dare complain into your tape recorder, saying what you have in your heart? Just wait, you poor fool. I'm going to shoot you down in flames. Guys who get angry and speak out are very dangerous for me. I have to shut them up. If too many of them started getting angry, I wouldn't be able to drive the human cattle as I please. Their eyes and ears blocked by pride, stupidity, and cowardice. And I'm in a hurry to get them, bleating and satisfied, where I want them to go. The violent things rumbling within me vanished in the night. I look to the sea, and it answers me that I escaped a great danger. Telepathic communication and hallucinations while sailing. Moitessier had a great number of hallucinations and visitations during his lone voyages. One even appeared to him in the form of an on-board helper. Moitessier, Tomato, and the Alliance. In a blinding hallucination, I saw Francois and Bai Mai, who looked at me and disappeared. From the time Francois had first appeared to me, this was the third time I had seen him, with Bai Mai close together. The first time was when I rounded Cape Horn, no longer in the Pacific, but not yet in the Atlantic. The second time was when Ileana had said the word responsibility, and I had just encountered them again. And another example when he's off the Cape of Good Hope. Moitessier, the long way. The fish soup practically boils in my veins. I am terrifically happy. I feel so happy, so much at peace with the entire universe, that I am laughing, and laughing as I go on deck for a perfectly normal urge after all that liquid. But there I behold a scene so amazing as not to be believed. There was this guy standing aft. Yes, that's right, a guy. He looked happy as could be, and he laughingly said, I repeat word for word, "Hey there, Good Hope, since your arm's so long, it must be mighty handy to scratch your arse, eh?" It was cause for concern, but he vanished without my seeing him go, while I was picking my way aft to shut him up. He was also involved in telepathic communication between himself and his island friends, who knew he was coming even though he had no means of telling them. Moitessier, Tomato, and the Alliance. When we returned to Porapora 2 days later, we saw Tepaku and Romati waiting for us under the old kaya near the compost pile. They knew where we had come from. Mana had told them. The Palmuto Mana refers to something which, under certain conditions, can transmit thoughts. Prophecy. Moitessier's books are full of such experiences. Having grown up in a culture where such experiences were once normal, he simply wrote of them as normal. His last book, Tomato and the Alliance, which was a summary of many events in his life, contained a prophecy, and this provided a dire warning, but with a solution, in his view, the only solution. Moitessier, Tomato and the Alliance. The Western world reminds me of a truck, crammed with millions of human beings, roaring full speed towards the abyss. It's nearly there and is picking up speed every second. It's too late to veer aside. It's also too late to hit the brakes. The wheels would skid, and the truck would certainly wind up in the chasm. Nothing can be done to avoid catastrophe, and yet the solution is obvious. Take off. We've invented the airplane, so why not create its analogue in another domain, that of conscious thought? Now, I am probably much better prepared to face prolonged fatigue thanks to yoga, which I have been practicing daily since the dangerous rock bottom period at the beginning of the Indian Ocean. I was on the point of giving up then and steering for Mauritius. My ulcer was causing me pain. I was really low, mentally and physically. A year before sailing, a pal had sent me Yoga for Everyone by Desmond Dunn, with a letter in which he tried to explain that the rhythm of Europe was making me nervous and tired. Yoga, which he had practiced for 2 years, had enabled him and his wife to regain their balance. Everything he said was true, and I knew it. I had even known it for a long time. When I first leafed through the book in the Indian Ocean, I felt it emanating all the values of my native Asia, all the wisdom of the Old East. And I found a few little exercises I'd always done instinctively when I was tired. My ulcer stopped bothering me, and I no longer suffered from lumbago. But above all, I found something more, a kind of undefinable state of grace. Some people may possess it by birth or instinct. Others can find it someday in the course of their lives. No one will ever know, and it does not matter. The main point is that it exists. And with it, things take their natural place, their proper balance in the whole within.